Hello friends, we can start with logical reasoning. Okay, it is the second class of logical reasoning. Today I am going to deal with the square of opposition. It is one of the important part of logical reasoning. They will ask 5 questions from the logical reasoning and you have to answer the 5 questions. Each carries 2 marks. So it is a very important area as the logical reasoning is considered. Be attentive to the class, then only you are able to understand it well. Understood? So before you can see a picture, that is some sentences I have written here. Only 4 sentences I have written here. So you understand it by just studying the example. That is always good for you. If you study the example, then it is very good for you. See, here I have written a sentence with all. Okay, a sentence with all, and it should be marked as A. That how they are doing is that is English contain how many vowels are the A, E, I, O, U? Is it A, E, I, O, U? So that is used here for the symbolical representation of this 4 type of sentences. Okay, so that is you have to understood A, E, I, O, U. It is written according to the vowels of English. So the first sentence, that is all birds are animals. In this, all is the represented as A here. Okay. In the square of opposition, there is a square there and one side of the square is represented as A. Okay. Second is sentences that starts with no. No birds are animals. So whenever you see a sentence with no, it should be represented as E in the square of opposition. Understood? Understood? You have to study it as such. First you study these sentences and the words, that is the symbolic alphabets connected to it, you have to study. Next is the sentence that start with some. It is represented by the alphabet A, E, I. It is the I. Okay, the I represents the sum. And some birds are not animals. Some not. Some not is represented as O. So I think now you are clear about it. That is, whenever you see a sentence with all, it is represented as A. The sentence that start with no, it is represented as E. A sentence that start with some, you have to represent it as I. And some not, a sentence that contains some not, it is represented as O. Okay, these are the different sentences that is using in the square of opposition. So after that, I will show you how we are applying it. So first you understand this. Okay, all for A, no for E, and some for I, and some not for O. Okay, then the sentences. Okay, the sentences that start with the sum. Okay, that start with all. Sorry, that start with all. It is considered as positive universal. It is positive means it is always in a. It is not contain not or no. Okay, negative words are not there in the first sentence. All birds are animals. There is no usage of not or no. So it is a positive sentence and it is considered as universal. Okay. So it is represented as A. All is represented as A. And that sentence is positive and it is universal. Okay. Next one is, that is sentence that will start with not. Okay. That sentence that will start with not. It is negative. When you see no or not, that sentence is always is in negative form. Okay. So it's negative and it is universal. And a sentence that start with some, it is positive and it is considered as particular. Okay. And sentence that start with negative, that is some not, it is negative and it is particular. So you must understand that A and E are universal and I and O are particular. A is positive, E is negative. I is positive and O is negative. So you have an idea about the sentences. All, that is represented as A, not is represented as E, some is represented as I, and some not is represented as O. And how they are using in the system of this square of opposition is that all is considered as positive universal, not is considered as negative universal, some is considered as positive particular, and some not is considered as negative particular. Okay. Next, This is the square of opposition. So understood that this is the square of opposition. So we have studied the representation that a sentence that start with all, okay, a sentence that start with all, it is represented as A. A sentence that start with no or not, it is represented as E, okay, this is represented as E. That too is here, A, E, then I is here and O is here. Understood? Some is represented as I, and that is some node is represented as O. So A, E, I, O. This is the square of opposition. And in square of opposition, you have to study what is contraries, what is contradictory, and what is subcontraries. You have to study the subaltern also. So that we will study in one by one. First, you have to know this square. Okay, A, E, I, O, and you must have studied that A is positive and some is also positive. These two are positive. Understood? And E and O are negative. E and O are negative. That is, here no is there and here also no is there. So these both are negative. And here A is positive, it is universal, and E is also it is negative, and this is also what it is called universal. And A and E are universal, I and O are particular. Okay, don't forget that. Sometimes they will ask questions related like that. Then we have to study this contrary and contradictory. You have to by heart this square of opposition. Then only you are able to answer the questions related to it. Okay. First one we study is the contradictory. Okay. Contradictory means opposite. So A is the opposite of O. O is the opposite of A. Okay. E is the opposite of I and I is the opposite of E. That you can see. And that is called contradictory. So contradictory, which are the contradictories? A and O and E and I. These are contradictories. Okay. Here I have written here A, O and E, I are the contradictories. The specialty is that in this, okay, in this contradictory, both one, that is A and E, never become truth. Okay, that is if A is true, then O is false. Okay, then if A is false, then O is true. Then opposite only come. Contradictory means opposite. So when it is true, this is false. If this is false, then that is true. And this is true, then it is false. This is false, then that is true. Never they will come as true. Understood? So keep this one in memory. Then never will come as true. Okay? It is also called conversion. So you must understand that A and O are contradictory. E and I are contradictory. And they never come true together. They never come true together. Okay. They are always opposite in nature. That is what I have written here. If A is true, then O is false. If A is false, then O is true. If E is true, then I is false. And if E is true, then E is false, then I is. This is what we call as contradictory. I think now you are clear about it. You see the graph. Okay, this picture you see first, then you can see the written work, then it is clear for you. Take your full mind here, then only you are able to understand here. Next is contrary. What is contrary? That is, which are the contrary? This is AE is the contrary. Okay, in the square of opposition, A and E are contraries. Okay, the specialty of contrary is that they can be false together. They can be, okay, they can be false together, but they cannot be true together. Okay, you can see that. If you can see that if A is true, then E is false. This is a positive one. Okay, if A is true, then E is false. If A is false, then E is true. Then question is that if A is false, there is a doubt whether it can be false or it can be true, because both can be false together. Understood? Both can be false together. Then if E is false, A can be false or A can be true. So there is a doubt there. Can be false or can be true. So there is a doubt there. So they can be false together, but they cannot be true together. That is a specialty. So you should not get confused. You study only one thing, that is in contrary. A and E is always most way they are in opposite, but they can be false together. There's a chance of they can be false together. It is also called observation. Understood? Next is subcontrary. Okay, what is subcontrary? Subcontraries are I and O. I and O is the subcontrary. This one. This is I and this is O. This is the subcontrary. Contrary. Okay. If I is true, that can be true together. They can be true together. That you must understand. That is, I is true, then F is false. Then if F is false, it can be true. And if I is true, it can be true together. See, they can be true together or they can be false. So it's a doubt here. If O is true, then I can be true or it can be false. So there is a doubt here. So you must understand that the lower side, okay, in the subcontrary, this is contrary and this is subcontrary. In lower side, they can be true together. So we have studied that in contradictory, both cannot be true together. Both cannot be true together. Okay. In the AE is the contrary. In contrary, we studied that they can be false together. Okay. In sub-contrary, we studied that they can be true together. Okay. Should not get confused. You have to study each slides. Okay. Next is that is subaltern. Subaltern is the sideway things. Okay, that is A and E and O. Understood? If A is true, then I is true. Okay, you must study like that from the top to the bottom. If A is true, then I is true. If E is true, then O is true. If F is false, okay, then I is doubt. If E is false, then O is doubtful. This is called subaltern. Okay, that is contraposition. It is called contraposition. It is called subaltern. Okay, sideways is called subaltern. Opposite is called contradictory. This A and E is contrary. This is I and O is subcontrary. Okay, then A and I is the subaltern. Okay, and subaltern you must study that from top to bottom it is always true. Top to bottom it is always true. And from bottom to top it is always false. If I is false, then A is false. If O is false, then E is false. This is called contraposition. What it is called? Contraposition. It's also called as subaltern. Okay, what we call it as subaltern. This is the method. That is, if A is false, it is doubtful. If I is false, then A is false. Then O is false, then E is false. So I think you are clear about the what you might have I get an idea about the square of opposition. Okay, you might have get an idea about the square of opposition. I think you must know that what is contradictory, it is opposite come. Okay, opposite come is contradictory, then contraposition, contradictory, subcontrary, then you have seen the subalterns. Okay, all these are coming there. You have to study each slide. Okay, when it come all, then we use A. If come no, then E. Then some, then I. Some not, I, O. O is using the. So according to the usage of, okay, according to the usage of the vowels, we are using it in the square of opposition. You must study this all the slides I have given here. So all the video you must go through it, study well, write the notes and prepare well. I have written the what thing is correct there. Okay, what thing is correct there, you must study that. You must understand that. If you have any doubts, you can ask me through the comment box. Okay, don't forget to subscribe the channel, then only other students also get it. I have given all the materials needed for the square of opposition in this video. It is helpful for other students also. So you just subscribe it and you can share it with your friends. So we can meet in the next class. Okay, goodbye.